Pre-primed? No, you're not primed because I haven't primed you yet with the Pixio PX277P Prime. All right. Full disclosure, things are a little crazy around here with all the launches. I forgot about this. They sent me this. It's been under my desk for a little while. I've had a good time with the new GPUs. The new GPUs doing like 4K at like 100 FPS. Pixio is going to have to get their rear in gear to come up with a affordable 4K panel that can do 100 FPS. But for now today, we have 27 inches, 2560 by 1440, 165 hertz. We're going to put that to the test. It's AHVA IPS in-plane switching, but there's nothing plain about this monitor. Full metal stand. Nice. In the box, you have a power cord and a DisplayPort cord. This monitor does use an external power brick, so that's less weight inside the monitor if you're doing a VESA monitor arm or something like that. But it does include a stand. The included stand is not height adjustable, however. Now, in terms of inputs on this monitor, we do have the 165 Hz DisplayPort 1.2 input. That is the absolute maximum DisplayPort 1.2 bandwidth. We also have two HDMI inputs. Those are HDMI 2.0. So it's 144 Hz maximum, and you will need a terrific top shelf cable in order to deliver 144 Hz on that HDMI interface. I'll tell you, this monitor also supports HDR, but the HDR doesn't really give you a lot more contrast. I tested a couple of different things with this, and the HDR support, I mean, it's there, but not really. At least I've seen much more impressive HDR support from other monitors. That said, this is an affordable monitor, 165 Hz, so I'm not gonna knock off too much for that. If you're not into the included Pixio stand or you wanna use something else, as always, this monitor has standard VESA mounts, and the placement of the VESA mounts is in the middle of the display. So this is where it should be in terms of VESA mounting, especially if you've got other monitors that you're mounting. Sometimes Pixio will move the mount to the bottom, which is fine as long as all your monitors match or you're using one arm per monitor. There are monitor mounting solutions where it's just a bar with some VESA things on it, but then all the VESA holes need to be in roughly the same place vertically on all of your monitors. Otherwise you run into trouble. All right, so overall, what are we looking at in terms of this monitor performance? Well, truly, it's impressive for an IPS. The thing that you look for on an IPS monitor, the thing that almost all IPS monitors are somewhat guilty of, is bleed around the edges when it's on a dark scene. If this is, a traditional IPS display, this is the best IPS display that I've seen. It's not the best overall display that I've seen in terms of backlight bleed. There is a little bit, but in terms of an IPS display, in terms of that sort of edge glow, it's really good. It's shockingly good for an IPS display. And it's a little different. I mean, the characteristic that I'm talking about is different on IPS type displays, is different than AHVA, is different than, other panel display types. So whatever Pixio is doing with this panel, or whatever this panel is doing and Pixio is able to take advantage of it, the image quality is really quite good. It's also extended viewing angles is one of the other properties of the LCD panel, and you can definitely see that sweeping from side to side. That said, out of the box, FreeSync support is not turned on, so when you plug this in, it'll be like, hey, I can't toggle FreeSync on, what's going on? You're gonna have to bring up the on-screen menu that's controlled from the fairly intuitive hat switch on the back of the display. It's got a satisfying tactile feel, it's easy to navigate, you can change a lot of options in there. You're gonna have to go to the menu there and turn FreeSync on. Once you do that, the display's gonna black out, and then you can go into your driver settings and enable it. Now, it's not NVIDIA certified, so you have to check the checkbox that says, hey, use FreeSync anyway if you're on NVIDIA. And on AMD, where it was initially not turned on, you're gonna have to go into your display properties, toggle it on. Once you do that, you'll see that the FreeSync range is 48 to 165 Hertz. Doing testing with sweeps and things like that through the system and through some other, different configurations, it does seem to work well. In terms of how fast is the actual panel using high-speed photography, we can see about 3 frames on at a given pace with our high-speed camera here. Now, the display is configured for 165 Hertz, and so it's trying to turn on just one of those squares at a time in 1/165th of a second. At our very highest frame rate, we can see that one of the squares is almost completely off, and another one is starting to come on, while the one in the middle is kind of the brightest. That's sort of our common scenario here. That puts our true panel response time somewhere less than 2/165th of a second. A kind of shorthand way to do it is to combine like how on each square is. And so each square combined is not fully on, so we're at like 1.5 squares on. So it's 165 divided by like 1.5, let's say. So it's not an exact science because we don't have an exact way to, at some point there's a threshold where it goes from 0 to 1, but you can eyeball that. And it's also how quickly it rises. So it really starts to rise quickly. So in 1/165th of a second, you can see that those pixels are getting ready to come on. So from black to white. Overall though, for this type of panel, this type of result is very, very good. Really the only thing that beats it is things like, OLEDs and other direct emissive technologies like that are actually, or each pixel is sort of creating its own light, but there are downsides to that technology, the expense that goes with that as well. So, every generation of display panel, there's a little bit of an incremental improvement. And so from the 276 and prior Pixio models, there is a measurable incremental improvement in terms of the display response time. Color accuracy, it's an sRGB panel at the end of the day. I mean, it supports HDR, but it's an sRGB panel. It's good enough, but probably not good enough for professional work. That said, we did use our spider colorimeter and built a color profile for this. You can check that out on the Level 1 forums. We've got that here on the display. As you can see, it's not bad for an sRGB display. It's just not up to professional levels. And it was surprisingly uncalibrated out of the box. Like, I feel like Pixio could probably do a little bit better unless there's just that much variability from panel to panel in their display, which I suspect is probably not the case. It's probably just that the default color profile that's loaded on this is more set up for gaming, maybe juicing the contrast a little bit, juicing the shadow areas in the game. It's like, oh, I can see in the dark in this game, because you can't, there's no, I don't know if that's cheating or whatever in online play, probably not, but that's a thing that some displays have. So if you're looking to move up to 1440p gaming because, oh my gosh, the new GPUs, you would be hard pressed to go wrong with this monitor. It's a good price for a relatively good feature set, and the only things that I would really improve on are gonna drive the cost of the monitor up significantly. So Pixio historically for me has been a pretty good brand, sort of the mix between cost savings but without giving up too many features. So I think Pixio has done a really good job putting this monitor together, and I think that it would, at least at current prices, assuming that you can get a graphics card and you want to play at 2560 by 1440p, this wouldn't be a bad choice. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good monitor. Overall, Pixio has done a great job putting it all together and really making sure that you get everything that you need, and nothing that you're really not going to use. There's no unnecessary accoutrement here. So good job, Pixio. I'm Wendell, this is Level 1. It's been a quickie, hopefully, Level 1 monitor review. I'm signing out. I'm headed to the Level 1 forums. If you pick up one of these and you want to show off your battle station, come to the Level 1 forums. Post some pictures. Love to see it. All right, signing out, and I'll see you there.